We are starting working with the color mixing worksheet. So at the beginning of class, you're going to need to get the worksheet, a plate for your paint, and then a water container with a paintbrush that's sticking out of it with the brush up. Okay, so once you get this, you're going to get you some cool water. Do not get warm. And then you're going to go back to your table. The paint is already on your table in little cupcake bins. That's the table's paint. So you guys are going to have to share. You'll have to make sure you're being careful getting paint out so you're not mixing it. All right, we want to mix it here. We don't want to mix it in our tray. So we're going to go ahead and get started. You also need to get a piece of brown paper towel to blot your paper, just in case you get too much water on it. So this one right here talks about the primary naturally occurring colors cannot be created by mixing other colors. So this is what all the colors are based off of. So our first one's going to be red, and you're going to paint this in the circle, stay in the lines, do the best you can. Want to be neat about this because this being neat is going to help you with your next project. Okay, rinse out your brush. Make sure that brush is rinsed out. That's very important. Your next one is going to be blue. And I realize some of you probably already know this, but there's some that may have not visited the color wheel in some time, maybe 6th or 7th grade. And that's fine. So once you get that covered, clean out your brush, and then your next color is going to be yellow. Now, these colors, these 3 colors, make the rest of the colors in the color wheel. All right. This one has less, is not as dominant as the blue or the red. All right, so the secondary colors created by mixing equal amounts of the 2 primaries. So when you mix red and blue together, you're just going to want a little bit of red and a little bit of blue. See, and all I'm doing is just mixing a little bit. And that's going to be purple. That's a pretty dark purple. There we go. And if you want to wet it down a little bit, that's fine. The more blue you put into it, the more blue it gets. But this is supposed to be red-violet. Okay, the next one is going to be blue and yellow. So we're just going to take, I'm just taking a very, very small amount. And not as much blue, because blue is a little bit more dominant than yellow. And we want it to be green. We don't really want it to be blue-green. Okay, wash that paintbrush out. Next one that you're going to do is you're going to mix red and yellow. So this time around, we're going to take a little bit of yellow, just a little bit of red, and we're going to mix it, and it's going to become orange. Then we're going to paint that in there. Okay, I'm going to wait a few minutes so that if people need to catch up, you can do that. And next thing we're going to do is the intermediate. So this is creating by mixing equal amounts of 1 primary and 1 secondary. So meaning you are going to be mixing these. Okay, so if we take, so let's do red and purple. We're going to take red and purple. This is going to be red violet. Make sure you wash that paintbrush. Now, if your water is starting to get a little muddy, please go ahead and correct that. Get some new, pour it out. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mix green with a little bit more blue, so that way we do get that blue-green. I'm going to put it right here. So it is a darker because we have added blue. Wash out that paintbrush. Okay, so now we're going to take the orange and the yellow. And I actually have too much paint on my paintbrush, or not paintbrush, but my little plate here. So obviously you don't need as much as I got out. So this is going to be yellow-orange. Okay, one thing also you might want to do so that you don't get this all confused is that this is violet, so I put a V, green, G for green, O for orange, and then this one's going to be red, violet, blue, green, yellow, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, and red, orange. Okay, so that way we can take, I'm going to start right here with the red, orange. I'm just taking a little bit more red, putting it in here so it's has more of a red concentrate, and then I'm going to paint that in there. Alrighty, rinse out that brush. Now we're going to get some purple. We're going to go blue-violet. So once again, we need equal parts of red and blue. That's what's going to make our violet. I'm going to add just a little bit more blue so it makes it a little darker. Now, I promise you this is not black. It is blue violet. Okay, now our last one is yellow-green. So we're going to take some of this green and then we're going to add yellow to it. And you might need to add more yellow to that little bit of green. Okay. Now, it's always easier to mix colors when you take a little bit of the dark and add it to the lighter color, like we're going to see here in a minute. We're going to be doing on this side, color plus white equals the tint of red. This is going to be red. You're just going to paint that red. So that's what we're going to do. And I would probably go ahead and paint all these colors, the middle circle in first, so that it's done. Okay, so boom. Now we're going to make the tint, which is you're going to take a little bit of the red and add it to the white. That's going to make a tint. So pink. That's what happens when you need to make a tint of red. Then what we're going to do is you're going to take the color plus black and it's going to be the shade. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a very, very, very small amount of black with the red. Now you don't necessarily have to get it to black, because the more black you mix in with your color, the more black obviously you're probably going to be making. So you want to make sure that you have more of a dominant color. Okay, so now we have the tint, the hue, or the original color, and then the shade. Now, next what you're going to do is you're going to do orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet on your own. So I would first go ahead and do all the middle circles first, and then go back and do the tint and the shade, tint, shade, tint, shade, go all the way down. Now, I did not have to blot my paper because I really didn't use a lot of water. And this is drying pretty quickly. So you'll need to put your name, your class period, and then put this in your locker for today, and I will pick it up tomorrow. And you will need to wash your paintbrush out with cold water. And the reason why it's important to do cold water is that in this metal section, the bristles are glued. Can't really see it. Okay, there's glue in there. And if you brush or wash this brush out with hot water, you're going to melt the glue, and then all the bristles are going to come out. Okay, then you're going to take your paint water, wash it out, dry it, and then you're going to take your paintbrush, the bottom in the container, and then your bristles sticking out. Okay, because if you would put this in a container and it's like this, you're going to ruin the paintbrush eventually. So let's not even start that. You will need to put the lid on top of the cupcake paint dispenser things I got on the table. And you, like I said, you really don't need a lot. Okay, so just be careful of what you're doing. And let's go ahead and get started with this. You guys have questions? I'll be walking around.